Okay, welcome to the Forbidden History Chronicles, take two. Uh, you're here with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel and currently broadcasting from Forbidden History Live, as you can see in the chat. G'day Crystal, how's it going? I'm glad you made it to this one. Um, yeah, sorry about the delayed start. Few technical glitches, gremlins. Yeah. Anyway, let's get on with it. The signs of the times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time, who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were, and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the earth-based misnomered UFOs which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cybercode has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology, and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. Desert discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. Sorry, just lost my place. Ninja just jumped on the... I apologise. Where are we? It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end, they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it, but they are cleverly leaving us in the dark, hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water, to tainted vaccines, to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we, most all, are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate, but they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that was written by Dezert-Owl. And I'm just going to go on with this, and then we'll get on with the program. This is a day in the life of Ninja, or at least my afternoon. These are just some thoughts that were going through my head this afternoon. So I decided to write them down. Watching through the bus window, the big fuzzy translucent chemical ice nucleated cloud moving across a sun that used to be yellow and half the size of the white hot too bright to look at one we have now. I'm still in awe that no one on the bus can see it. All performers on stage today. Right angles, triangles, circles, stationary sheets sitting against a bumpy frequency manipulated plasma screen while the forced freezing wind blows giant whales, black spiders and giant white crabs around the sky. Oh my. Giant white pillars with zigzags and white stuff shooting from them like upside down chimneys, and all the pre-programmed zombies on the bus still cannot see. Viewing this matrix, feeling like I'm outside my body, no time to film what I see, sitting next to a mum who no longer remembers giving birth to me and is in the upside down, has no concept of time, logic or reason. Feeling helpless, knowing that the performance in the sky is what took all of her memories, so that now our roles are reversed. The Matrix, opposite land, the upside down. If any of these words resonated with you, then please join us here. You are amongst friends, and the good news is there is a way out. It's what they didn't want you to know. Desert?
Absolutely.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You blew that.
What are you talking? Oh, they don't, that we tell right here. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
She didn't prep me for this, you know.
Yeah, you
usually
had
do it
seconds,
to her.
You had
so.
2 seconds prep,
At
and then
least I
stream
figured
didn't
it
work.
out. Okay, so you know.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Desert.
I might have half a brain, but the other half figured it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Welcome to the program. How's it going?
Well, it's going. Things are really interesting out there. I got to say, you know, it's not pretty. And you know, we got mind control uh, scenarios going on here in the U.S. To keep everybody under the spell.
Yeah.
And you know, the whole I don't normally watch mainstream news, but I watched it. NBC's clip from yesterday, and all 30 minutes was dedicated to the two shootings. And
yeah.
and
So
what's
it was
but
here
the
too.
same
Yeah.
the same thing, the same pattern continues.
Yep.
You don't see tears when you see people getting emotional. Nobody sheds tears, and that would be a time when more tears would be shed. And so they kind of look like actors.
Yep.
You know, so we're not there, and so we don't know. But no matter what, they either will take advantage of a bad situation,
Yeah.
or they'll create the bad situation, and
Yep.
it's all you know, a mind. It's the what do you want to call it? The there's a term for it, and it's escaping me.
Stage.
Psyops. It's a psyops.
Yeah.
It's a government
Okay.
psyops. Is what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the media, the Jewish banking media, are well, they're prime players in it because it is Jewish banking that's working for the Vatican. They're the real linchpins. And then you got the Jesuits like you know, Trump. And people actually still, you know, are buying into the illusion of there's somehow some kind of a legitimate government when it's all a stage. You know,
Yeah.
it's all a prop.
Yep.
There is nothing real. You know.
Yeah. I'm seeing the same thing here involving those shootings and the mainstream media. The first girl I saw getting interviewed on the TV was exactly what you described, probably the same footage.
Yeah.
Yeah, her face crumbled, but there were no tears, there was no emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got two guys, both of them wearing ear muffles, or whatever you want to call them, you know, ear protection for, you know, for shooting a gun. And how in 12 hours, when we never had anybody ever do a shooting putting on ear protectors when he's going to do his mass murder, but both of them in back to back, two young men, 20 years old, both wear, you know, ear muffles. You know, so clearly that's a major tip off that it's an orchestrated deal, because you're not going to think about protecting your ears when you're going to go out in grand style. You know, you want to hear who's around you while you're shooting other people. You want to be aware of your surroundings, so
Yeah.
you're not going to have ear muffles on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to want to know when the cop comes behind you saying, "Put down your weapon." You know. So the whole thing is, but people are just they're in the lower state. They're in the hypnotized state. The triggers, the buzzwords,
Yeah.
the graphics on the news, all gets them under the spell right away. And then they got the guy doing the news. He's half white and half black. He's a mixed race. So they got their, they even all the even on the Weather Channel, the woman there, they get all the mix blend of white and black culture now, come together, and so you see how they strategy in a pattern across the board do those type of things, not to denigrate either culture or the fact that mixed people in black and white is all right, but I'm saying that you see how they play on it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
they're blending the cultures, what it implies, and you see it on the stage,
Yeah.
and so you know where you are, in their program, because they want to. They've had it in for the blacks from the beginning, because it was easy to demonize people with dark color, but the whites are in the same mind control program as the blacks, and so they pit each other against the other.
Yeah.
They use them. They use them for whatever purpose they want. And so that it's so nice to be free from it all, not to be caught up in the drama, and to realize that that's not my world. Why should I get emotionally charged about it? Because it's not my world.
Yeah.
It's their world, the phony world that they created, where they got everybody hypnotized under a spell.
Yeah. Thank you for the
Under
reminder, because yeah, it
yeah.
was doing the opposite to me today. Like I it's I can't think of a better way to say it. It's a double-edged sword. When you're stuck in the house constantly, as you can relate to, Desert. Yeah, when you don't get out much, um, it's yeah, like we went out today, and I mean it wasn't very pleasant. It was freezing, but you go outside and you can see the deception everywhere. You can see the matrix that we're living in, and yeah, from like that what I wrote today, that I read out at the start. That's how I was feeling. So thank you for the reminder. Thank you for the
Uh-huh.
reminder. That's why I thought I'd,
Yeah,
I'd
I was.
that's
Yeah,
why I thought
I
I'd
was.
read it out, because
hmm
you
I
have
was
the way home, the way out of
right.
this. Yeah.
I was willing to give. They took out the commercials, so it's like 20 minutes of a news broadcast on NBC from yesterday. I was willing to give it 20 minutes of my time, because I like to see through pierce the veil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hadn't watched mainstream news in a long time, and so I wanted to see how the game was being played,
Yeah.
knowing it's a game, and then realizing they devoted 30-minute TV program to nothing else but two tragedies, when there's all other kinds of news around the world, but they keep it down to one issue, and it's about guns, and and that's the bottom line, about taking away the guns and controlling the people more. Of course, Robert, good to see you on the broadcast. Welcome, brother. And so my old longtime friend Robert Gavitt, down out of Central Jersey, grew up in my own backyard.
Oh.
We
Oh,
went to the
that's
same vocational
nice. Yeah.
school.
Oh,
You
g'day.
20 years seen, yeah,
Yeah, I'll just say g'day to Robert. G'day, Robert. How's it
yeah,
going? Yeah,
yeah.
please
He and I
continue, Desert.
we went to the same vocational school in New Brunswick, New Jersey. He was there 25 years ahead of me, so he's done. He had an upholstery business, and that's where he learned his trade. I took the upholstery shop and made a beautiful hassock, and but anyway, so we're dealing a dealt a hand that we have to we have to know the nature of the game. So
Yeah.
I just look at it as an observer,
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
and I like I
Yeah.
like to be able to figure out the game, and so that's
Yeah.
all I do. They like Monday Night Football. I like the real game. The real game is life,
Yeah.
and I want to know how they're pulling the wool over our eyes, so I can be protected from it, and
Yeah, we
not
need
fall
to be
into.
aware, but
Yeah,
keep ourselves
yeah,
separated from it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I know, I know.
you know
Yeah,
you're it's amazing when you see all of these scenarios. There's never one hero that comes and tackles the guy. It's like I'm waiting for them. I'm thinking, if I were there and I saw something like, I mean, there's so many people, how come nobody comes from behind and grabs the guy? You just don't see that. But I guess they got, if it's a real event, they really do have everybody terrorized. But if it's a staged event, then they've then there's no need for the hero because
Yeah.
they want as many people psychologically killed as possible.
Yeah, you
You
just
know.
reminded me of something that I wanted to get out there as well. Just when you said terrorized, what they're setting up here at the moment, I've noticed on mainstream, they've referenced this more than once in the last couple of weeks. Animal rights activists are now uh, being termed as terrorists. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the
Yeah.
latest Aussie thing. Yeah, conditioning,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
pre-programming. Yeah,
Absolutely. Okay.
yeah.
So anyway, I've got some
Some good
words to
news. Yeah,
share. Well, it's better than good morning because when you say good morning, you're wishing everybody had a death in their family, you know.
yeah.
And I hope you have a good morning today. Yeah, somebody should die soon, right? Okay. No. So anyway, the word morning. So it's been sticking in my craw, you know,
Yeah,
because it's the hardest thing not to say.
yeah,
Is good morning. When the truth is, a morning is when you're mourning for someone, and that's we never think about it. So just like the when you go to a courtroom and then they say the judge is presiding, but what it really means is he's pre-siding with the prosecution because they need the money, they love the money, so they're pre-siding against you. And then they want to ask you, oh, you're all by yourself, you don't have an attorney, do you wish to represent yourself? But what he really said was, do you wish to re-present yourself as a fiction? And then the prosecutor is the pro security. He's pro for the security for the birth certificate to get you on Wall Street, and to make some big money on the slave on Wall Street, which where they originally sold black slaves on Wall Street. That's where they lined them all up and people bid for them, and so it's the ultimate occultic trickery. That's being run in our world by the Jesuits and by Jewish banking, and they're all guilty. Okay, there's nobody in our culture that isn't a part of this thing. Whether even if they're just dupes and poops. It's really tragic that people are willing. They have no integrity and they're willing to sell their soul to a blind cause.
yeah.
And it's Bob says it's loading very slowly, but I'll wait. Okay, Bob. I hope you yeah try rebooting if you need to reboot. Okay, and so let me just say consider rebooting. Hang on, so he knows.
Okay, good.
All right,
Yeah, it's
and
glitchy everywhere, isn't it? Worldwide
yeah,
glitchiness. Yeah,
yeah, and we lost the program yesterday. In other words, we can't post. You have 4 hours of broadcasting yesterday,
yeah,
and we
yeah,
can't get it posted right now. So Shelley is working on it, and
yeah.
hopefully we'll be able to get it up.
See, I thought it
And
was just in this country,
yeah,
like it happened with one of the other ones. I thought it was just Australia that couldn't
right,
watch it. I didn't realise it was you guys as well having the issue. So creating
you're
light for
right.
that program because yeah,
Thank
that was a
you.
long
Yeah,
one.
no, it was a good one.
Yeah,
Well, we answered a lot of questions, great questions by Just Love, and so hope we preserve. Otherwise, we'll do it again. So so morning, I have this giant book. It's like $100 book, and it's a dictionary of selected synonyms in principal Indo-European languages by Buck out of the University of Chicago, and so it was done like in the 1950s, I think it was. And so I've looked in there in the index under morning, and then I turn to the page, and then I'm there under section 14.44, and where it's all about time. This whole section is about time, different aspects of time. Like the next one coming up would be on noon. So where did the word noon come from? Boy, that's one I got to look up next. Now, that's an important element. And so I because I'm having so much trouble saying happy light or happy dawn, good dawn. It just none of it feels natural when in your entire life
yeah,
you
yeah,
said it one way.
yeah,
63 years of one thing way of saying
yeah,
something, and then the other just doesn't feel. So I looked it up. I said, okay, I got to find the where this is coming from and how to happen. And so it's the switch out. So just like
yeah,
I said, that presiding means presiding, and represent means represent, and prosecutor means pro security. He's there to get the birth certificate, and you're the surety for that birth certificate, and it makes them money. They monetize it, its value. So I looked up, and right in the middle there's three sections, right, middle, and left. And right in the middle, it's all similarities of, like in the Gothic, it's Morgins, and then in the Old Norse, it's Morgin with two N's, Ginn, Morginn. Then in Danish, it's Morgen, and Swiss, it's Morgan. So all the forms, the
Oh,
vowels
okay.
change.
I'll be quiet until you
Yeah.
finished.
Well, why? Because you're seeing it's all gone. Is that what it is? More gone?
I'm
As
seeing
gone
a
as it can
couple of
get,
things. I
right?
just please continue while I write
Yeah.
things
Well, the
down.
the Swiss definitely want it all gone for everybody, But nonetheless, so scanning it, then I got into the Old High German, the Middle High German, and the New High German, which is today's German. And in today's German, it's Morgen, and it's spelled Morge. And so what we see is they created a word out of those words by calling it morning,
Yeah.
and morning means the creation that went down. So when we're talking about more gen, hear the word. Let me type it, okay, so that way we can see it.
Okay.
Morning, and then Morgen, and so you see, so morning, it was originally, and rather see, the N is the key element. The N is interpolated, and it means that which came down. So what came down is when the sun went up, they got us to say, hey, isn't it great to be mourning? The sun went down. You see, that's what mourning is, right? You're putting on black, you're crying,
Yeah.
and you're not happy, right? Because it's darkness that happened in your life,
Can
mourning.
can I ask a
But so,
question?
but well, I want to make the point that it's more gen. More gen means another generation of light. M for mother,
Oh, wow.
okay? M for mother, OR for light, and gen. So it's
Yeah.
literally the mother's light of the garden. You see, because
Yeah.
gen
Yeah.
is correctly Gann, and there's the garden, but spelled more correctly with the Y in the middle as well. Gain.
Yeah.
That's where the word gain comes from. But so anyway, so in the Old High German, it's Morgan. Okay, there it is, Morgan. That means more, mother's light of the garden. The mother's light of the garden. Good morning, good mother's light of the garden. You see, the light came up, and we have one more day in the garden.
Yeah.
And so that's what it means. So that's how to say it. Good morning.
Wow.
Then it doesn't feel so unnatural anymore. Because it was really hard to break away from it. And now
Yeah.
I've decoded the problem. They slanted the word, occulted it, and put the N in the middle for something that
Yeah.
came down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
it's a whole
So
nother
I
deal.
couldn't train you well enough to it didn't stick the g'day thing, did it? No.
No, because I'm not from down under, so it's not a natural thing from for over here. I kept wanting to say good morning, and so
Yeah.
now I got it.
Now
It's
you got
more
it.
again, and I
Yeah.
would say, I was joke when I used to joke with the German. I'd say good morgen sometimes just to use the German influence, but
Yeah.
now I see the meaning of the word. Now it has bearing,
Yeah.
and no longer do I have to say good morning. I can say good morgen.
Wow.
Good morning. And then if somebody says, "Why do you say the German?" Then I got an opener to talk about the Indo-Germanic. You see?
Yeah. That's so
Hmm.
cool. Wow. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I'm glad there was an answer, because
Yeah.
it was just like, I got to go pick up that
Yeah.
big book, and I'm
Yeah.
like thinking,
I
and
know
I
it's
kept
been
putting it,
bugging you. I
you know,
know morning has been
yeah.
bugging you for a long
But I
time.
finally picked up. I've been
Yeah.
lifting weights, and so the book didn't feel as heavy today, and I got it. All right.
Can I just add the other uh, spelling for morning? How does that come into it? Is that just another variation of the corruption, like morning, Mourning? Is that just another variation of the corruption?
Did I leave a U out of morning? Mour? Is
No,
that how you
there's
spell it?
two different spellings. Like there's morning
Okay.
for
Okay.
good
The
morning, and there's
English and the
morning
American spelling, right?
for
All right.
morning. Uh, dead.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. What don't you have? Don't you spell it two different ways over there?
Well, mourn, right? Mourn is spelt, like that, but like that way. Just put it right there, hey, that way. But nonetheless, mourning is that aspect of it. You see,
Yeah, yeah,
mourning, you're mourning,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's variable spellings. There
yeah,
is no exact spelling in the more modern because it's all
yeah.
corrupt.
It's
It's
just all
all
mixed
corrupt.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, and so therefore
So
we just
you,
have to define the
yeah,
what the influence is. Just like a word sounds differently than it looks, right? Like
yeah,
constitution. Where did that SHION come at the end? Constitution, TION, shun, TION. When
yeah,
did the T get an S sound, an SH sound, right?
yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
so yeah, so we have to hear and see and then compare because sometimes it more typically how how you're pronouncing it dominates what you're looking at in the symbols because clearly it's SHION and there's a form of the word Zion, shun, constitute Zon, so it's constitute Zion. Constitute Zion is the implication in the occultic aspect of it, you see,
Yeah,
because they're Zionists and these are the ones doing it to us, right?
yeah,
The global domination out of the Babylonian Talmud from 500 BC and before. You know, they
yeah.
brought the Babylonian Talmud back to Israel when they came back. Go ahead.
And the way you pronounce things is also the energy and the vibration, the sound uh, frequency that you're putting out there. And yeah, if you're putting the wrong one out with how you're pronouncing things, that's not a good thing. So we
Yeah,
need to get back to the original desert. Thank you
absolutely.
for helping.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you're bringing it on. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yay.
Right. Okay. And so I have two more words, and then we can get into the dictionary and scriptures and myths.
Okay.
And I'm writing a note here. Okay, so in our New Testament, there's a couple places where they say, and they prophesied, like in the book of
Yeah.
Acts, and they say
Yeah.
they got together and then they prophesied, but that's a cover because what it would have said in those particular scriptures in our New Testament, it would have said, and they spoke truth, because that's the aspect of being in Yeshua, it's speaking truth, and that reminds me of what we're going to be actually reading out of there today in the dictionary of scriptures and myth, and we're going to start with Aegina Island, and it says right here, a symbol of perfect truth reality, which condition may be attained at the conclusion of the cycle of the soul's evolution. So that's what we're doing right now, right? We're evolving. We're evolving in our intellect because we realize that we've been lied to. There's been a game played on us. But nonetheless, the word prophet, we'll start from prophecy, go to prophet. I proved out by showing where it started with Adam, and that he was called. It said when the serpent was more subtle. Well, the word subtle was. Oh no, I'm on the wrong word. When they called him the serpent, that was then in Strong's you find it was the Naga, but Naga is an abbreviation of navigator, and the power, meaning the power of the serpent in one sense, but has a deeper meaning than that. The Nalve, meaning the way that came down, knowledge of the way that came down, with the power of the eye, so that we have to be navigators. So the original word for prophet is star navigator, and they changed it out to serpent. They gave it, so it's a clue. It's a clue. Who is this serpent? And he is the Naga, and that is the star navigator. And so the prophecy then, if prophet means star navigator in the original, then prophecy means star prediction. That would be the way to say it, the star prediction. That these are not, when I'm giving the transliteration here, I'm not saying that star prediction is the exact
Yeah.
literal sense, but I'm seeing further back now towards the original. We're going
Yep.
back towards something, and it can continue to unfold.
It's amazing,
So
does it? Already, I'm feeling it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it is an aspect of what it originally meant. It's a star prediction. There's the word. Look at the word prediction.
Yeah.
Diction, isn't that what you're saying when we see people saying, "Oh, tomorrow this is going to happen"? Well, that's a prediction, right? But we call it prophecy.
Yeah.
But yet, because it's about star navigating, becoming a star, and knowing how to read the stars, then we see that that prophecy more correctly would be star prediction. We can see the word see, prophecy, the creative see, the procreative see. You know, there's other literary aspects in there that I could make an analysis on. But right on the surface, it finally came to me when I was reading another one of the lost writings, you know, and then it just popped right in my face. For the first time, I got the other aspects. So prophecy then is doing business for two different aspects. In the New Testament, it means to speak truth, but in the Old Covenant, more correctly, would be rendered star prediction. You know, because it was about the message in the stars, and it's about the one who was to come. That's all it was always about Yeshua, gonna render, focusing light. That's justice, focusing light for the sovereign. You know, and so yeah, there's so much more ninja to do, and then we got one more. Is there were you trying to comment on that one further? I'm sorry if I get on a roll and I
Yeah.
don't, don't jump
I
in.
love it when you get on a roll. I love it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm always on the edge of my seat, Desert. You made me think of while you were talking about the word prediction, you made me think of predictive programming and mind control.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's about as far as I got. I just sat back and listened to
All right.
you being on a roll. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So here's an interesting one I just saw yesterday. As these words continue to unfold, because typically, I use the for the word master, as it sounds and looks. Let me type it in here. Okay. We see it become. As for years I've been transliterating it as it's a hyphenated word. Okay, Mother Star. Master is Mother Star.
Yeah.
And so when they went up to Yeshua and they said to him, in our scriptures, Master, what they would have said back then in the original thought was Mother Star. Mother Star. You see, because he's the light that's shining, right? And the logo, the sun, is his symbol, right? And it represents communication. The light represents communication. But literally, it's like this.
Okay, I have another question when you're ready.
Okay, you see
Please
that
continue.
now when you go below, you see the spelling, how you bring it back to original thought.
Yeah,
Mezar,
I think you just
Mezar.
answered my question.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mezar. And so Mezar, what is Mezar, right? It became Egypt, right? But so literally, then Egypt, knowing that the original name of Egypt was Mezar, and they lied to us and they created a new code which has the GH in it. The Egypt it'd be like this: GH. Here it is. AYGHPH. Okay, like that. And so it means return. The GH is dominant. The I of the return of creation. The I of the return of creation. Let me type that in there. Okay, the eye of the return of creation. So Egypt is a code meaning what? It's just like attorney means to turn back into possession of the royal. They turn. They turn everything back, and that's what the bankers did when they gave you the loan for the house on the mortgage, right? They didn't sign on the dotted line. They created a unilateral contract. You're the only one who signed the paper, and according to legal parlance, then there is no contract because there's nobody else creating the contract with you, signing the paperwork, ensuring it's good, and that's why they come back anytime and steal the house. So but the point to back up now, I went down a little side trail there, but the point is that and so the word eight is in Egypt. It's a code. I have to get my board going to do a better analysis on that. It's not easy to do it in chat, and I can show how it blends together into the same word. But so Meitzar. Maitzar is master and mother star. So we can see that there were two centers on Earth. There was like was the right hand, left hand, or the duality that we talk about. We have the center of the Earth, the navel of the Earth, Yerul Shalom, Jerusalem, and then just how far away? 100 miles away, give or take. 100 miles away, maybe less. We got on the Nile River. We've got Maitzar, and that's also then the mother star. So we got Jerusalem is the mother star, and we got Maitzar, Egypt is the mother star, right? So two centers. One is of the occultic, and then one is of the pure tradition, monotheistic versus the polytheism of Mitzrayim, of Egypt. And so you see how these words, continue to unfold, because I didn't ever made the connection with Master with Maitzar till like yesterday, and and it was right there. It's easy. So May, the month of May is the beauty, because on the Nile River, when it gets fertilized every springtime, then that's when life unfolds, and Tsar is a star, and there's the first use of Tsar, as we see then in Rome with the Khazar, the keys of the Tsar, the keys of the star. Then in Babylon we had Nebuchadnezzar. And so the Tsar has been coming down with us all down the pike, and but nobody ever defines these things, and that's what we actually have to do to be set free from them.
Wow.
Hmm?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I'm all wowed.
That's all right. So I'll just keep rolling then. Okay.
Yes.
So while you're breathing deep.
Yes.
All right. So in this, so we're gonna, in fact, since we're talking about Maitzar, I got a couple definitions on Egypt, and that'd be appropriate for today. Want to welcome any new listeners out there. Always glad to have you. And Crystal says impure star, Job 25:5. Okay, then there's a definition for an impure star. That'd be a black star, maybe, or a dark star. Okay, or called the black sun. So so the Aegina Island, a symbol of perfect truth, reality, which condition may be attained at the conclusion of the cycle of the soul's evolution. There are also those whose country may mouth. There are also those whose country my mouth declares to have been Aegina, that most renowned island, and it has long ago been built up as a tower for lofty virtues to ascend. It has long been regarded as the model of highest excellence and an example for others to imitate. That's Pindar on Isthmian Ode. Okay, and at the back of all our endeavors towards fuller life, at the heart of all our idealism, under whatever guise it operates, is faith in God. It says faith in God, so that would be the victory of light in Yahweh, who is the great Olaf Haim. The unimprovable perfection, the superintending purpose, the one within the many, the real beyond the seeming, the fullness of the life that filleth all in all, to which nothing shall ever be added, and from which nothing can ever be taken away. That's R.J. Campbell's sermon, Being Unbecoming. And then we have here Egypt, which of course is a false title that was created by the occultic for our scriptures, because they didn't want us to know about Maitzar, and then they gave us the Old Covenant called the Masoretic text by the Maitzarites out of Switzerland, okay, banking, and then so what does it mean? It's the Egyptian text. We got the Egyptian text in our King James Version, and people will die for it. They will die to defend the corrupted version controlled by the occultic priesthood that hates our guts. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's just absolutely astounding. Yeah. The tricks. It's all an open secret, But one has to plow the field. One has to work, and they don't want to have to get up early. They don't want to have. Yeah. Okay. So Maitzar, Egypt, from the point of view of the Greeks and Hebrews, Maitzar, Egypt, is a symbol of the lower mental plane with its knowledge of the things of the world and the objects of desire. And so the knowledge of the things of the world would be the sciences. We could say that in another way, that the knowledge of the things of the world are the sciences, and the objects are the things of desire, those things that we visually behold. Out of Meitzar did I call my son, Matthew 2:15. Out of mental experiences or learning is the divine child, the son of mind, that's man, educated as a means to the end of the soul's salvation, the soul's soul novation. This Egypt, Meitzar, is our present life which oppressed us. When flattering may aid when pressing us, and that which, when cherishing, crushed us with the yoke of bondage, may show the way of liberty while it tortures. St. Gregory, Morals on the Book of Job, Volume 3, 147. In the word, by Egypt is signified the science of the natural man. Actually, it would be the word Meitzar. That's actually the correct thing. And in denoting the world and the body, the Buddha, Egypt denotes the lessons to be derived from both of these, the learning of which is indispensable to the soul's development. That's the perfect way. And then we have two more, actually three more. Okay, so Egypt, higher or southern. Okay, a symbol of the higher mental plane of the Buddha Manas, level of the consciousness. The half mythical country in the south was known to the Mitzrayim Egyptians as the land of the gods. Okay, the half mythical country in the south was known, that's Ethiopia. That's Ethiopia, the
Okay.
land of the gods. Okay, and there you see the opium, right? The opium is the etheric opium. There's Ethiopia. You see, of a higher, right? Okay, and Kronos, Ammon, also known as Ammon, going to the land of the south, gave the whole of Meitzar, Egypt, to the god Tawat, which is also Thoth, Thoth, who is the creator of communication and the alphabet, to be his kingdom. So to the land of the south, and he gave the whole of Meitzar, Egypt, to the god Tuat, Thoth, to be his kingdom, and that's out of Corey's fragments. But the elder of the two children, Isis, took her, and that's Aisha. That's if we translated it back into original thought, it would be Isis would be Aisha. Not evil by itself. It is just simply a name from the Meitzar tradition. It represents the woman of creation, Isis. Okay, and so the elder of the two seed of Isis took with her and set sail with the chest to Meitzar, Egypt. And in it being now about morning, about Morrigan, the mother's uh, garden of the sunrise, the river Phaedrus, sending forth a sharp air, she, in her anger, dried up its current. That's from Plutarch. I've got to read Plutarch. I've been carrying that thing around with me for years. I only started it, and it's as big as Herodotus, if not bigger. But the mental faculty was raised by Buddha, Isis, so that the consciousness was elevated to the plane of the higher intellect, it being now the dawn of truth, or perception of reality. Then the lower mind, which was filled with cut and dry opinions and wind of doctrine, was superseded. But there were others who said that the struggle between Horus and Set went on with alternating successes, until at last Thoth was appointed arbiter and divided Meitzar Egypt between the two foes. Southern Meitzar Egypt was given to Horus, and the northern Meitzar Egypt was given to Set. Okay, so the Horus is the hours of time, and Set is when there's no more counting of time because the sun is set. So one is at the beginning, so to speak, and one is at the end. Plutarch, Isis, and Osiris. Oh, let's get serious here. And but those minds of narrow vision who saw not the life entering into glory, the illumination, and who perceived only the shattering of form after form, as they watched from below the struggle between sun and moon, light and darkness, good and evil, said that union of the soul, the shul, with Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, was not fully accomplished until the mind, that's Thoth, was appointed arbiter and reserved for the spirit of the emotion nature, which its appointed sphere, each with its appointed sphere. There's another dirty word now, sphere, which arrangement at length on the higher planes appeared inverted as spirit operates seemingly on the lower plane. Spirit, that's Horus, manifests on the astral plane under the aspect of love, through which the soul's evolution is preceded with. Egypt Maitzar signifies Kama Manas. Southern Maitzar Egypt for Horus is the more manasic and solar. Northern Maitzar Egypt for Set is the more kamic or lunar. So you see there's the one with the light, one with the darkness. They created their own duality with the divided kingdom. And so this Thoth, in this sense of what it was referring to, also represents Yeshua incarnate as well in the pure tradition. So Maitzar Egypt, lower or northern kingdoms, a symbol of the lower mental plane or of the Kama Manash level of consciousness. Many are the marvels which Si or Osiri shall do in the land of Maitzar Egypt. That's Griffin's Tales. Imitable shall be the possibilities with the indwelling self, the Zan of God, the Zan of Son of God, or Zan of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, will disclose in the regions of the lower planes. And then one more. Interesting that the word 8 follows Egyptians here in the book. So continuing, because that is the code is 8 for Egypt. Egypt. You can hear the word Egypt. And so that's where we get the word I've been gypped, right? I've been gypped.
Oh, wow.
And those gypsies, those Egyptian gypsies got me. After they left, I guess, Maitzar, they went into the Caspian Sea area, So yeah, that's the gypsies. Don't mess with those gypsies. They'll dance right in front of you and be picking your pocket at the same time. Okay, and so a symbol of the lower mental faculties and functions connected with the desires of and sensations, and they spoiled the Meitzarim, the Egyptians. Exodus 12:36. That's a cosmic number, 1236 for sure, and for this refers to the valuable results of experience, jewels, etc., by symbolic nature, accruing in a past soul state, being acquired by the qualities now pressing onward in their development. And Eshriel saw the Meitzarim, Egyptians, dead upon the seashore, Exodus 14:30. Do we follow you and I in the death of our Meitzarim Egyptians? What is your Meitzarim? What is your Egyptian? Some passion of the flesh or of the mind. For the mind has its tranquil passions as well as the flesh. Look around. Where are the Meitzarim, the Egyptians, which used to hold the earthly body and the earthly soul into slavery? The divine right of rulers, the dominion of the priesthood over the intellect. There is no divine right of rulers, actually. That's the funniest part. Only divine right of Yeshua over the intellect and consciousness. The ownership of man by man, the accepted inequality of earthly status in life, the complacent acquiescence in false social states. There you go. Welcome to America. The praise of ignorance as the safeguard of order, the irresponsible possession of power without corresponding duty, the pure content in selfishness. Do you realize how these bad tyrants of the earthly race have lost their power over large regions of earthly life? They are dead Egyptians, the Meitzarim. Is there anything more wonderful than the way in which men today are daring to think of the abolition and disappearance of those things which they used to think were as truly a part of earthly life as the earthly body or the ground on which it walks? Ah, my friends, you only show how you are living in the past, not in the present, when you see nothing but material for sport in the beliefs, there's a good word, the beliefs, I think so, of ardent men who and brave societies which set before themselves the earthly kind, the abolition of poverty, and the abolition of war, the abolition of ignorance, and the abolition of disease, the sweeping away of mere money competition as the motive power of life, the dethronement of fear from the high places which it has held among almost above, all the ruling and shaping powers of the destiny of a Shan, man. I recognize in many a frantic cry the great groaning conviction of mankind that nothing which ought to be need be. The Metzarem Egyptian must die. That is the assurance which is possessing the heart of every Ashan man. That's Phillips Brooks, Mysteries of Iniquity. And that's right, that's what we were told. That's why the firstborn of Metzar died, because in symbolic nature, when the firstborn are dead, all are dead. You only need to symbolize the firstborn as being dead, and that's the implication. And so there we go, ladies and gentlemen, with the definitions of Metzar Egypt out of the book, the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths. And it's important to compare the other scriptures from the other cultures, because they are speaking truth in nature. Okay, truth in nature, and we have to get those pictures, and then it helps us to see our scriptures more clearly, because they are relative.
Yeah.
Relative, they are. Go ahead.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And Ninja, I'm all talked out for a bit. If we want to take a break, and then we can come back and do some more symbolism, and we can close off with the New Testament light, Old Testament light. Unless you have a follow up real quick before we go to a break.
No. We can go to a break now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we can go to a break. I need a break as well.
Wonderful. All right, we'll be right back.
All right. Do you want a long one or a short one?
Yeah, 5 minutes approximate.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. Please stay with us, guys. We'll be back right after this. Okay, welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. Um, Apologies for the extra long break there. And please create light for the broadcast. We have a few gremlins, but they're not welcome. I'd like to welcome back Desert-Owl to the program. Welcome
Yeah,
back, Desert.
I just got locked out of the chat. I had to do a
Really?
refresh on the. Yeah, I was trying to type. I was good to go, and you're saying Skype was also running slow because I told you on Skype I was good to go. You didn't get that right away then.
No, like the OBS froze halfway through the music
Okay.
break, and I thought, oh wow, okay, this is
Oh,
great.
okay. Well,
And
stuff's
then
happening.
yeah, I
Yeah.
fixed that, but Skype was so slow, like I'd be waiting forever for like one letter that I typed in to show up. So that's why I went into the chat. At least we have a few different avenues for communication, which is good. So
All right.
yeah,
All right.
so
So, well, and want to welcome to any new listeners that are out there on the broadcast, and we're trying to make lemonade out of lemons, ladies and gentlemen, and
yes we
the
are.
only way home is to know the truth, because it's the truth that sets us free. Okay, and signs and symbols rule the world, and not law nor words, because the law they pretended, and the words they corrupted. So the only thing that we have to know that is not altered is the symbol. That's why when we talk about in the garden in the beginning, well, we got a garden, we got two trees, we got a snake, we've got fruit, but the fruit isn't, it's not a real tree in the sense of a literal tree. That's the last thing it means. Okay, and because it's the sun and moon, sun, earth, and moon are the trees. Adam and Eve were the trees. The fruit is the fruit of the loom, and because he had the seed to bring forth life, and generations of mankind, and that was the whole purpose. That was the whole thing about being naked, and then after they figured out, or well, actually they didn't figure it out. Adam already knew, and it was just Eve was naive. But then that's when they covered themselves after the act with fig leaves, because they felt guilty. They knew that, wait a minute, okay, I don't want to get turned on right now, so we better cover that. Okay, so then you're not psychologically enticed at the moment. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
ultimately what happens. When you're um, and so their aspect of realizing that they were naked. Like, okay, why are you hiding? Okay, okay, so the fig leaf wasn't enough. They actually were hiding behind the bushes. They got a fig leaf on, and they're hiding behind the bushes because they feel totally, totally out of place all of a sudden with Yeshua. He's probably walking there with a long white,
Desert, I have a
uh,
question.
okay,
Um, you know how we are the only um, living thing on Earth that need to put clothes on.
yeah.
Um, every other creature has something to protect them from the elements of this Earth, like the cold and the hot. Um,
Hmm.
did did they um, you just made me think of it when you were talking about them with the fig leaf and hiding behind the bushes. Was it at that moment that they would have felt the hot and the cold, or would it have been perfect, comfortable weather back then? Um,
Well, they would have been in a region that was accommodating to their state. So that's like in the Middle East, right? What we call the Mid East or the Asia Minor is a type of it's arid, and it's well, look at Iraq. Okay, look at Iraq, right? It's not like they're going to put winter coats on over there, right? It's a desert area,
yep,
right? So they're in a region of the world where it's accommodating to their position at that moment, and obviously conditions would have changed. We don't know how long they were, from the coming out of the star, the side of the star, the star, the rib, the star, the royal star. That's rib. Rib is Rav, R-A-V is rib. The rib is the corruption, and it's the royal star. They came out of the side of the royal star. That's the atom, and they came down to the lower garden, from the higher garden to the lower garden. And so we don't know how long they were here until things happened. But I would guess, knowing the way guys are, that Adam didn't have to look at her very long to figure out that he wanted some of that, right? And so it probably happened pretty quick. That would be my guess. Okay, probably within days or a couple weeks, and hardly any longer than that. You know what I mean? And so, because he already knew how everything in the cosmos operated, and you think he's going to be looking at her and thinking, boy, I can be like great Elohim. He made me, and I can also make another me. I can make another me. And then, not to mention, it looks like it's a very pleasant thing to engage in, and plus my hormones are kicking in, and what's going on? I'm feeling kind of funny down there. And,
I love the way you explain
yeah, my mind is going crazy. Whoa.
That
so,
is so cool.
look, baby, let me talk to you. Let me tell you, let me whisper in your ear. Come here. Elohim, do you think that the Elohim meant that we shouldn't eat from the tree of knowledge? He says, yeah, didn't the Elohim say that when we eat from the tree of knowledge that we would know death? And he says, no, because the Elohim know that when we do this thing, then we will be like the great Elohim to know the difference between sun and moon, and we will create generations like us on earth. Not that live forever, but see, that's how the priesthood slanted it. They already had the ability to live forever if they would have maintained their course, but instead it was about to reproduce ourselves without number. You see how there's a similarity in idea to live forever versus to perpetuate yourself without number forever.
I can see that.
Yeah. Imagine that we all the Aryans come from one primordial mother father, and it's the same with the Africans, the same with the other races. They all preceded that which was first is that which came last. Adam was the first made, and he represents the sun, where he came from, where he was for the whole time that Yeshua was making all things on earth. Adam was naming it, and then the Aryan comes last with the head knowledge of how everything in the universe operates. He was the bright and shining one, and they couldn't let us know that, so they had to create a false image called Lucifer, and switched it out from the bright one of the sun to the bright one of the moon, which is not as bright as the sun, right? It's sorta, but not, and close, but not quite. And so you see, so that's what the whole story is about. You realize how long it took a lifetime to notice, and it just all came so clear over the last few months. Ninja, you were in on the whole game here, right?
Yeah. I love being in on the whole game. Does it? I've been watching you. Just increase with the wows. And it's amazing. I remember when I first started listening on the Forbidden History series. I was. I don't know if I was the first one to start wowing in the chat, but I know I did the most wows at the time. And you like things were just starting to really starting to open up for you then, and just watching you grow over the past year has been amazing, Desert.
Well, the discovery just keeps unfolding. There's no end to the discovery, because it just goes deeper, more finite. It just gets more. You see things more clear. Like in a microscope, you can keep going down, 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 down. But you have to get another lens in order to do that. And so it's a constant unfolding. And I know Yeshua is doing it. Because he knows our problem.
Hang on a minute. Does it?
And what?
Mum's interrupting. Just please continue.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So very good. I'm. Where am I? Well, I was gonna. Okay. So let me just switch gears here, and we're gonna do a sample of symbolism. Symbols are, as Confucius said, signs and symbols rule the world, and not words nor law. So let's talk about a few symbols. I'm going through a dictionary. I go through the alphabet. I'm actually going through it again now. It's taken me 35 years to go through this dictionary and symbols, and now I'm starting over with the broadcasting. Dictionary of Symbols by Cirlot, Cirlot, from the Philosophical Library, first done in Spain, then translated into English. Okay, so and this guy was an artist, and apparently he was also a Jesuit adjutant, so an insider, and therefore he's speaking in code sometimes, and you got to read between the lines or between the words and know what he's really saying, and that's what's really profound about it, because I can actually see where he's using double speak or putting on milk toast when it's really a deep rye bread. Okay, so let's go here. We got the first one is the fall, and that's the topic that we talk about quite a bit. We're all in it, so we should try to define what the fall is all about. It's a short definition here. The fall signifies the incarnation of the spirit. That's man. That's a period on there. So the fall signifies the incarnation of the spirit. Man, in quotes, observes Jacob Bohme in De Signatura died. In other words, man died insofar as he was purely divine essence, because the inner desires bursting out from the inner fiery center, that sounds like the sun, tended towards external and temporary birth. That's right, what came out of the light, right? What has a beginning has an end. And thus the Evola transcription. And thus, in Evola's transcription, the divine essence or inner corporeity, which nevertheless persists within man, suffers physical death. Our corporal nature suffers death, of course, because it is a physical matter. It is temporary by its nature. Okay, and so the next one is fan, right in order. I skipped fairies because I didn't think it would be worth doing the fairies. I hate to leave Ninja out of this, but I guess she can go back and hear it again. And so the other one is fan, and fan is correctly, going back to the prime root and original thought. I'll show you. Are you back, Ninja?
I'm back.
All right.
Can I ask, please, for creation of light, Mum's delusional. She thinks people are in the house.
Oh no.
And she thinks they're after her, and she thinks that they're trying to kill the dog. She's completely.
That's not good.
I just got her to go back to bed.
Yeah, that's not good. That's an unpredictable state, and you have to be,
Yeah.
So, do you need to get off? Do you need to end the program here? What do you want to do?
No, she's all right. She's all right.
All right.
Okay. She's gone back to bed. I convinced her to go back to bed.
All right. All right. So,
Yeah.
okay. So I just read about the fall.
Yeah.
And so you can go back and listen to that, right? Just note that we've been on for 90 minutes approximate. Now is it give or take of 80 minutes? Just and but then fan is is a corruption of the word fan, Phann. There's the F is a corruption, PH is the original the F sound, and then two ends. There's always two ends because it's the divided power, the yin yang, light and darkness, up and down. That's why noon, is Noon. It's showing the duality coming out of the light, right? Right there, noon, right?
Yeah.
There's your duality. Two O's, two N's. One is opposite. One is opposite.
My name.
Okay, one is opposite the other. N-O-O-N, right? The opposite reflection, right? The opposite spectrum, split it in half, right?
Yeah.
N-O-O-N, right? No on, and so we have to read the symbol because the symbols are speaking. That's why noon is such a powerful symbol of all symbols. It implies the two lights that came down. One is of a true narrative. The other is the false. One is the spirit. One is the physical creation. The sun represents the spirit. The moon represents physical creation. That's why in the Old Covenant they follow the moon, and they were following the new moon. They blew the ram's horn, Okay, so on fan, it is symbolic, and so fan means power, and we can see the word. I talk about the word sharfan.
Yeah.
There's the word sharpen, sharpen, or surfing, surfan, sharfan, and then also the shark fin, the sharp fan. You see the
Yeah.
power in the wave, the power in the fish, the power. Right? We got
Yep.
to see
And
it
the
in another
sword.
way.
You sharpen the
Yeah,
sword,
and the sword, and that's another power. You got
which
the
is
sword, you
word,
got the
which is
power.
Ashavor.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a symbol of a shining ray of light that's at the same time. So these are original thoughts, and and thank you, Crystal, for the time on that. Okay, thank you for the time. And so fan means power, and it is the power that comes out of the sun, and that's the swastika. Is the filfot is the fan. That's why they liked the so when they had a picture of the swastika on the flag, it's really a secret picture of the sun. We don't get that picture, but
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
the spinning
With
light
the light
particle. It's
coming
the
out.
power,
Yeah.
the power of their. What they're saying is Germany has the power of the sun. We're harnessing the power. We are the Aryans. We are the
Yeah.
and don't like to talk in those terms and be misquoted, because I'm just implying what they're saying.
Yep.
Implying what they're saying that they're the power of the sun as
Yeah.
being Aryans at the same time. That's why they embraced all that iconography in the 1930s that led up to the downfall and of course, Hitler was leading him down the false trail. He was the one who was leading him, and he was a Judas goat. He was a banking agent. He was a Jesuit agent. He was a Vatican agent. He didn't write Mein Kampf. And but anyway, so to continue now on fan, its symbolic significance depends on the shape and size. The large flabellate flabellate. The large flabellate fan is related to air and wind and is the emblem of Chung Li or Chung Li Chuan, the first of the 8 Chinese immortals, who is said to have used it to revive the spirits of the dead. A fan of this type is usually heart shaped and is sometimes decorated with feathers. The feathers stress in the association with aerial and celestial symbolism as a whole. It is an attribute of rank among several Asian and African peoples and is still so used. And whether it's talking about the swastika here, I'm not sure. It's not giving me a picture. So, but it may very well be because we find that swastika is a universal symbol. You know, we find it on pottery in the Americas by the Native American peoples. It's universal. They knew that the fan was the sun. And that it was the power that brought down the light particles of creation. And and that's what you feel when you feel the heat on your body. Those are the light particles creating friction on your skin, and they're going right through you, and that's the sense of heat. You see,
Yeah.
it's a physical um, aspect of what is happening, and it's real. Okay, and it's so still used, and with a cosmic significance by the Pope. Okay, well, I don't know about that. The characteristic Western fan is of the folding type and hence associated with the the phases of the moon, and so that its symbolism relates to imagination, change, and femininity, the changing pattern of phenomena, as shown in the rhythm of moon phases, non-being appearance, increase, full being, decrease. What's also called the waxing and the waning. It is, and the ancient mythology was that when the new moon started to appear and the little sliver and it got bigger and bigger till it became the full moon, the ancients saw it like a ship that was passing by and that it was picking up the souls of the earth and then taking them on to the next realm. That was how they
Wow.
they're a fairy tale, in other
Yeah.
words, the way they talk maybe to their children or
Yep.
something. So it is expressed in terms of erotic, allegorical, fan language. Okay, it is the Heraclitean conception of perpetual flux. A fan is used in the latter sense by Max Ernst in one of his paintings. Okay, and so That's where we are with that. And we'll pick up symbols again on Friday when we're all frying under the sun. And another
Friday.
way of looking at
Yeah.
Friday, right? That's a whole new meaning now. Instead of Freya's day, Freya was the other another name for Eve, and yeah. And so I'm trying to put my book up here. It ain't gonna work. All right, put it right. All right, so got more books than Carter has liver pills today. I can't get over it. Actually, I've only got remnants. I've got about 200 plus books. I used to have 2,000, and so I've had to unload. I had to keep what was most important to let the rest go, to save some. But so this is of course what I have for the translation project is the best reference books on the planet. Really,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
sure
good
there's
that
some
you
more I could
managed
have.
to save
Yeah,
what you did.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
had the books stolen from me in Nebraska, 35 boxes, 5 trunks. It was a lot, and but the mercy of the Father, has allowed for me to be able to recoup
Yeah.
over the last
Yeah.
20 years the when I needed to get back in the project. So we're in the Old Testament Light by George Lamsa, and his works are so important because he gives you the Eastern thought, the Eastern philosophy, and so we're here with light and darkness, and well, actually it says good and evil, but you see, good and evil is abstract thought, and it's really about um, not light and darkness, but sun and moon. Because we have to go back to the original thought, which is where you can get a picture of something, and so it's light and darkness implies sun and moon, but it's actually the other way around. Sun and moon imply light and darkness, right? And
Yes.
so, yeah,
Thank you
and the
for the
moon is in the
correction.
and the moon is in the darkness,
Yeah.
but it reflects the light, you see. So the
Yeah.
darkness is a reflection of the light, right? So the false traditions are giving us a narrative about salvation, soul novation, but yet the stories have been corrupted and the words have been altered, and therefore it's like being close, but close is not good enough, because we have to be exact within the definitions of words and meanings, and of course the pretext, not context, but pretext of the scripture, in order to get the original story, because they've covered the original stories in their full flower. And so that's what we're doing, is bringing them back based on corrected term, and knowing also the trick of the priesthood. It's a major work, ladies and gentlemen. It's a miracle, that we're even doing it, because it's not natural to be able to break the code of the occultic that have been running our world for thousands of years. Mind control at its best. The priesthood has always dominated our world since the Arian Vicaresh the Watchers fell. They're called vicars in the Vatican today. Mm. That's why they put a W in front, because it's a double play, the double vision, two V's, when it's really vicar, not watcher, vicar. And the ve means the way of movement. Okay, so vekar, the vekaresh, the way of the way of the movement of the essence, vekaresh, the way of the movement of the essence. So what it meant was, that's what watchers do. They watch the movement of all things, the nature of all things, the flux of all things. They know about everything that moves, and that is creation itself, because everything is in flux and moving. Everything is spinning. Everything is a serpent. Okay, so good and evil. Let's see what Lamsa has to say. And as good as Lamsa is, I'm amazed at times that he missed it on certain points, and but that doesn't take away from his own genius, because you see, what I also talk about and can prove out is that those people that were in the East were also manipulated by the Roman Empire when Constantine took over, when the Roman Empire split in two, and then they became a religious state, converted Mithraism into pseudo Christianity when it was really still Mithraism, and an occultic switch out, because they knew religion was the opium of the world, and that's how they were going to run the world, by religion. So good and evil. Ganesha, which is the original thought for Genesis 2:17, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that's sun and moon, light and darkness, shall thou not eat of it, for in the day that you eat thereof you will surely die. And there is no record of anything evil being created by Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. Get this, listen. There is this is Lamsa. There is no record of anything evil being created by Yahweh. who is the great Elohim. So now that is so beautiful, that quote,
That
because
is, and it makes perfect
yeah,
sense.
then
Yeah,
it leaves only one other answer to all the evil
yeah,
that we see and all the false narratives, that it is created not by Yahweh
yeah,
but by man.
yeah,
You see, this I'm highlighting it again because the highlighting is fading in here, and this is the bottom line
yeah,
about what our dilemma is. Who created our dilemma? It is man. Who creates? Who? Whenever you're having a problem, is it some invisible creature with wings on his back flying around? And you got to get your fly swatter and get rid of them. No, no, it's man. And when you're, or unless you're creating the problem, then it's you, it's your ego,
yeah,
it's your flesh,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
I've been wrestling
it's
with that
somebody,
lately. So yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Please
somebody
continue.
that puts their pants on like everybody else is the problem. And because all the activity on Earth is man created, the illusions are man created.
Yep.
You know. Now, when James says that, we sin when we sin when we are drawn away by our lusts, and then enticed, and then when sin is finished, then death rules. And so he didn't say the devil made me do it. He said we sin, and sin is close our eyes. So we close our eyes when we are drawn away of our own lusts and enticed. So where does the lust come from? It comes from the serpent, the body. That's what Adam and Eve's story was all about, right? The serpent was lusting for the woman, and but it was out of kilter because they were told not to do something, right? So in other words, without permission. If they would have done it with permission after they grew and became mature, because they were children in that sense, and that they had to have the permission of the father in that sense. But so the serpent is the flesh, and it's ruling Adam's ego, and he knows that he can be like the great Elohim. Hey, yeah, he primed me, baby. He put it all in me. I already know everything that's going on here, so you can trust me. Trust me, baby. You won't die. I trust him. Oh yeah.
Famous
That's
last
that's that,
words. Yeah,
that's right. It sounds like we've heard that one before.
yeah,
Okay. And then you're in trouble. Okay, so in the scriptures, we are told that everything that Yahweh, the great Elohim, created was very good. In fact, the word would be more correctly perfect, but actually it is Yaltzar, and Yaltzar literally meant it is the product of a star. So what does that mean? It's the product of light, and therefore the product of light implies that there is no darkness within a light creation, but all around us, surrounding us, is that darkness of the gulf, the great gulf of darkness, and the gulf of darkness then overwhelmed the light creation. It overwhelms the light creation. It's a spark in the middle, and that's what's hiding within us. That's why we can become seed of light, because that spark is still hiding within us, and so it cannot be extinguished. It is just hiding, and okay. So it was very good, and since the great Elohim, who is Yahweh, is perfect in everything that he has created, it was also perfect, and there would be no room for corruption. In other words, Yahweh cannot be both the author of perfection and the author of darkness or blindness or corruption. Corruption, it says evil. We'll use that word. Evil was created through man's pride, woo, disobedience, and desire for self-power. I don't see any devils here. I don't see any demons unless it's man.
I see lots
Man
of
was
ego. Yeah,
Yeah, man was created with a free will and with the ability to choose good or evil. Or we should just get down to it, the priesthood. The priesthood is the one that created the devils and the demons and the goblins and the goblins.
the
You
good
know,
ones.
yeah, the priesthood. The priesthood, or the aliens, or we should include the aliens.
Yes,
It is
yes,
the
we can't
priesthood.
forget the aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So man was created with a free will and the ability to choose, but man wanted to usurp Yahweh's authority. That's what Adam said. That no, that's when he lied to her, and so he wants to usurp Yahweh's authority and power and become like great Elohim. That's exactly what Adam said. We shall be like the great Elohim if we do this thing. That is to say, man was not satisfied to hold a second place. He wanted to become an Elohim, that is great Elohim. I mean, he wanted to be a star, right? Isn't that what they call them in Hollywood? Stars. They all feel
yes.
so special. They're all got their big bank account, and they're on stage, and everybody's looking at them. They're shining stars,
Yep.
right? Full
They
of
they get their
darkness. But
they get their own little star on the footpath
that's right. The walk of,
engraved in the
yeah.
cement.
Yeah. And
Or
yet they're
yep.
filled with darkness
Yep.
and despair. This is because man is never satisfied with his station in life, even when he becomes an emperor. He still craves more power and illumination. There is no limit, it says glory. There is no limit to man's aspirations for wealth and glory and power. When a man becomes an emperor, he craves to be worshipped as an Elohim, and men or a star. And kings and emperors have proclaimed themselves deities and worshipped by their subjects. A tree of knowledge. Kiss my big toe, slave. Kiss my big toe. Maybe I'll have mercy on you. Kiss my other toe. Now the other one. Okay, that feels pretty good. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah. What an amazing, that's what the Pope did. They had to kiss the Pope. I was reading Fox's Book of Martyrs, and a couple Christians were talking about going to Rome, and they're debating whether they're going to kiss the Pope's big toe. I'm not kissing the Pope's big
I
toe.
wouldn't
No
kiss the
way.
Pope's big
You know?
toe. If you,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh no, I almost said
So
I wouldn't kiss the Pope's big toe if you paid me, and yeah, well that's true. I wouldn't.
yeah, that's right. You'd have to go to the stake. All right. So the tree of knowledge of sun and moon, of light and darkness, of good and evil. Here it is. Lamsa's coming right out with it. The guy should be put on a spit, obviously. The tree here, I'm reading his own words. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is sex. That's where he says it right here. The tree of
Wow.
knowledge. He's the only one of all my years. He's the only one who ever becomes my second witness. This is what I've been saying all along, that it was the forbidden fruit was the knowledge of our ability to become creators and
Yes.
to create duplicates of ourselves. And what did it say? Then you will plow the field in sorrow. Plowing the field is having sex, right? The man on top of the woman is a metaphor of plowing the field, because it's a similar type of an action. The plow has the forward moving projection, and it's going into the earth, and the woman represents the earth, you see. So that's why when it says that we would plow the field in hope, but it would bring forth thorns and thistles, because the thorns and thistles are the tears that we're going to shed when we bring forth little ones, and then they disappoint us, and they become mass murderers, or they become just not very good little ones that we hope they would be, that we see in life. The tragedies within families of they plowed in hope, but then they brought forth thorns and thistles, right? That's the metaphor of what that means. And just like he said to the serpent, you will eat the dust of the earth. Well, tell me you don't eat the dust of the earth every day when you're having a Big Mac or a steak or any vegetable. Anything you eat is the dust of the earth, right?
Yeah.
The dust of the earth. Okay, so Lamsa's got it. It's he's saying the tree of knowledge of the sun and moon is sex, because what is the sun and moon doing? They're making love in the bridal chamber called the earth. The earth is the bridal chamber where sun and moon come together to create life on earth. That's the great Ulafheim. And we are potentially Ulahim if we put on that enlightenment, which has been the cause. So I'm going to read Lamsa again one more time. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, I'll use his words, is sex, which has been the cause of the downfall of many men and women. Well, isn't that true when we look at Freemasonry, right? What they've done by abusing women and children and men. Man was supposed to become mature and spiritual before bringing another man or woman into the world. And Adam and Eve transgressed against the ethical law. And the first child they bore, therefore, which is the next narrative of the story, became a criminal. You see? He became a criminal. So not only does,
Wow.
Lamsa tell us the truth about what the forbidden fruit is, but then he tells us the natural thing that was supposed to happen, which has been that man was to be first supposed to become mature and spiritual before bringing another into the world. And so Adam and Eve transgressed against the ethical law, and the first child they brought forth was a criminal. And that's where we get the word Cain, which is synonymous with gain, because there is no C in nature, and it's either spelled with Khan or Ayn or gain, G-A, and they're synonymous terms. Gain, okay, is Cain. So, and you were wanting to jump in, Ninja, or I'm sorry.
No, just wowing.
Right. So, right. And
just
one more line.
just the way it's put there. It's like it's so obvious and easy to see. Easy to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wow.
Yeah,
Please
and you
continue.
have and now you got a second witness because I've been saying it all standing
Yes,
alone with it, but now Lamsa is my second witness, so I'm so
yes.
grateful for Lamsa here. Anything which is contrary to the law of Yahweh brings death and destruction upon man. Death separates a Shan from Yahweh, and there we go. And when we pick it up next time, we'll be on the rib, the Rav, the rib. Okay, so code word rib, code word, and that we'll pick that up perhaps on Freya's day. And let
On
me.
Friday.
They
Yes.
were going to fry. Yeah, we're frying every day under the sun now, the UVC and UVB radiation. And now we've got the mustard seed in the New Testament light. New Testament is a misnomer because it should be, well, new. There is nothing new because it was what was from the beginning that man could not receive it, and so it is the everlasting kevanun, the everlasting kevanun of Zorain. Okay, there it is. New Testament light is translated into original thought as the everlasting kevanun of Zorain. Okay, so think about that one, ladies and gentlemen. That's the problem we have with yeah, and Yaltsar is the product is the star that goes round. The Tsar is Yaltsar is the star that goes round, and it is perfect, is it not? The sun continues to shine, never slows down, never takes a day off, keeps on ticking, and have been doing it for 6 billion, or give or take, 6 or 5 billion years, depending upon when the breath breathed into it. It may have been in the second billion years. So, but it was still a gaseous orb. So nonetheless, it was. It's been going for a long time, long time. But of course, others want you to think it just happened 6,000 or 8,000 years ago, and then that's when it all started. But look at nature. Look at the geology. Look at the earth. Come on, look at the history. It is. You have to close your eyes and pretend you don't see how ancient this world is, ancient the moon is, ancient our universe is, and they want us to think the universe was created just 8,000 years ago. In fact, they don't even want us to think it's a universe now. They want us to think it's all an illusion. There's not really stars up there. Those are just like little holes poked up in the ceiling or something like that. I don't know what they're thinking. I really don't.
Wow. And I
Hmm.
just got notified.
If I,
I just got notified. I just saw it come up for this,
about what?
for the live stream.
Oh,
Yeah.
for me, from me.
I didn't know. Yeah, no, I just got notified for my own live stream. I just saw it pop up.
Oh, you just got your notice.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the broadcast, Ninja. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
good to
Sorry
have
I'm
you.
late.
All right.
Yeah.
And so there's the second egg. That's why egg is spelled, like this, EGG, because it means the second sun. Okay, because the G equals sun. It's the symbol of the sun for gold. Okay, and there it is, the second sun. That's why it's not a normal, but it would correctly be like this: AGG. Okay, egg, ag. Oh, there's agriculture, right? For the farming, and we get the eggs on the farm. And there's the ag, the aggregate. I'd have to look that word up off the top of my head. But you see, so it's the A. The A is the sun. It's not E. You don't say egg. It's not an egg. It's an egg, right? You can hear the egg. It's the egg. And so the A is the symbol for the sun, and the egg, because it's got two G's, notice it's not a normal word because it's more like a code. Why would you hardly hit? There may be, I think there's one other word out there that has two G's in it, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. But nonetheless, it's a very rare word, and it's a code to remind us that it all begins, right? What is the egg has hiding within it the symbol of a sun, and it's telling us that everything began with the sun, right? And it's hiding in an egg, right? It's so beautiful. The poetry of creation, right? The
Yeah.
the great wisdom of Yahweh creating the symbol, but we never get the picture until now.
Wow. I just typed something
Right?
in the chat because I didn't want to forget it. Agriculture, when you wrote
Uh-huh.
ag. Um, yeah,
Uh-huh.
I saw agriculture. That makes
Right.
sense. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
and in another literal sense it's ag Gray culture, Culture, agriculture, because everything is mixing. It's light and darkness mixing together. Sun and moon come together, and that's why we
Wow.
find ourselves in a state of mixing between light and darkness, right? And that those who are in darkness are claiming to be the light,
Yeah. Yep.
and they persecute those who are in the light as
Yep.
if they're in the darkness, right?
Yep. Oh, yep.
So it's the gray culture,
Wow.
because
All
when you put
mixed
two
up.
light and darkness together, you get gray.
Yeah.
That's in the middle. Yeah, yeah. And so there you go. Okay, so one more read, and then we'll wrap it up for today. Unless anybody has a comment or question, we will take
All wants to
calls
call
here.
in. Yeah. Another.
I, I gave out the phone number. You can type the phone number again,
Okay.
Ninja, and we can also, I think, take a call on my Skype. If you can't take a call on your Skype, I don't know if you can, but
No,
you
mine.
know,
I think mine would freeze up. It behaves very slow when I try and type in it, like during the
yeah.
live stream tonight.
Okay,
Anyway.
so yes, so all
Yeah.
one word, Free America Radio. Free America Radio. You can call in on Skype here, and we can put the I think the microphone. I don't. I
It
think it'll
should
come through the
work.
headset.
It
It'll
should
come through
work.
my headset. It'll
Yeah.
come through my headset.
Yeah.
But wait a minute. No, when I take the call, I'm gonna have to put you on hold, and I don't know how to merge it. We're gonna have to do a test on my end, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can do
so
a
we're
test
not
on your
techie.
end. It should
Okay.
work the same as for Forbidden History Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the same except we're
I,
doing
well, I
the
haven't done it, so I've got
calling
to
from
learn. All right.
your end instead of, for example, if I was Shelley, um, yeah, we're just doing the opposite way round.
Okay.
It should
All
work.
righty.
Yeah, anyway, please continue.
We'll,
Yeah,
we'll we'll have to do a test. So
yeah.
okay, so mustard seed, another parable he set forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field. Matthew 13:31. This parable was constructed, and now this is Lamsa. This parable was constructed by Yeshua to reveal the power of the Eshavor, the word of the great Elohim, Yahweh. That is, or word of God, as is in the corrupted form, word of God. God is the guard and the gold. That is the power of the gospel of truth, which Yeshua had begun to proclaim to a few people. Yeshua realized that just as the seed grows slowly and multiplies itself, so a word spoken in truth will ultimately multiply itself and fill the entire world. The seed, like the word, is one of the most powerful things in the world. It is the most powerful thing in the world, actually. And in the course of time, it multiplies itself rapidly, and the power within it is infinite. The gospel, which was proclaimed on the shores of Lake of Galilee, originally called Genocide, would in due time be mispronounced as Gennesaret, but Genocide, would in due time be carried on wings of the Spirit and over the seas and over the oceans. The mustard seed, through smaller than the mustard seed, though smaller than other seeds, sprang up fast and grows more rapidly than other seeds. As a mustard seed is small but potent, so the gospel of Yeshua, the Moshiach, commonly known as Jesus the Christ, is small when compared with Judaism, or paganism, and other religions. But it is full of the power of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. It has something in it that most powerful weapons in the world, the weapons of the Spirit. Then again, as grains of mustard seed are rounded, even so the truth of the star message of enlightenment, which is corrupted into gospel, the star message of enlightenment has only one side, not two. The mustard seed cannot be divided in two like some other seeds. So the star message of enlightenment, gospel, or the seed planting, teaching, must be based on the truth from the tree's root alone and not be divided. Moreover, the mustard seed is hotter than others, and wherever it grows, other seeds die. Because it is great power, it is because of its great power, Christianity was to supplant all other religions. It could not grow side by side with paganism and other materialistic and sensual religions and philosophies. That's Mark 4:30 and also Luke 13:18, and that is the parable of the mustard seed, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and so next time we'll be on the desert place, the place where there's no fresh water and people have to struggle to find the truth. And so Ninja, I think we covered enough ground. Is there any follow up you want to do here on your end? Mhm.
Oh. No, just plenty of wows. I forgot to take notes because I'm tired and I was busy listening. Yeah, wow.
Right.
And I have to
And
listen
if
back to the
anybody,
replay anyway because I missed a
yeah,
bit. So
you're right. And if anybody wants to put a question in the chat, remember put my name, all capital letters, Desert, Dezert, and then use upper and lower case with your comment or question. And nobody's put any questions in there, so I think we're probably good. And I'm great. Thank you, Crystal, for being there. And I see you put a lot of scripture references in there, and I know people will be checking them out and following up
yeah,
on
there's
that. The
some
people that in,
interesting
thank
looking
you.
ones in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
and
I just want to wish Yojani peace and light. She had to go. She stopped in. She snuck in and she had to go. So yeah.
oh, okay, all right, very good. Yeah, and we're going to be on tomorrow evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Forbidden History Live. And we have an upload we got to do. We got 5 hours, or well, on this second part because it broke up on this weekend. Both programs broke due to streaming issues, and so we're still waiting for 4 hours of the Sunday program to get up, and hopefully we'll get that thing figured out. We don't know why
Um,
it's not loading. So
are you
mhm.
able to? I'm thinking because it doesn't say anything about copyrighted content or anything. So maybe it's just the length of it. What if you cut it like in half and made it into
Well, that's what
two?
we're gonna try. That's the next
Yeah.
test. So we're gonna do that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right, yeah, so very good, and then we'll keep you posted on that. So do
Yeah.
feel free to join us. Do tell your friends about the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. And Ninja, thank you for your great effort, okay, and for sacrificing the way you do with dealing with all your time being taken up. You're always tired and not getting enough rest, and yet you still do this broadcast. So grateful, and just stand strong, and we'll look for you tomorrow evening on the broadcast. Okay,
Okay.
and if
Thank
we don't
you.
talk sooner, and
Thank you.
so I'm Dezert-Owl signing out, and back to you, Ninja. Peace and love.
Peace and
Bye.
love to you, Desert. Thank you. Thank you for joining tonight. It was amazing. Um, okay. That is all, everyone. What they didn't want you to know was told right here, was sparked right here. So please, if you haven't already, go to the description, the links in the description for Forbidden History Live and all the other channels, and subscribe and check the bells. Forbidden History Live will be broadcasting. I think Desert said 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that right, Desert? If you can see the chat, let me know. Yeah. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you for joining, and welcome. Um, Anyone out there that's hasn't heard this before, please come back. It takes a little bit to get the picture. Thank you, Desert. Um, okay, love you guys, and peace and light always. See yous.